You are Super Bowl champions again. Congratulations.
Nearly 7 months ago, your Kansas City Chiefs hoisted the Lombardi Trophy in Arizona, the team's second Super Bowl win in 4 years. I just like to run that video whenever we can. Months later, we are on the other side of training camp. Preseason play is over and the real work begins. In just 2 days, coaches have to trim the roster down to 53 players. We've watched this past month or so as Chiefs rookies, backups, and veterans alike work to prove themselves on the field and make the cut. Head coach Andy Reid says some of these battles, like the fight for wide receiver positions, is making decision time a little harder.
They're competing like crazy. You keep 6 or 7 of those guys, so that 6 and 7 spot is going to be, a pretty good battle. But we'll see how it all winds down there, as we go. But it's open. It's wide open.
Coach Reid has never kept more than 6 wide receivers on his roster for the start of the season, but who knows, that could change this year. It's one of many tough decisions he and the coaching staff have to tackle over the next 2 days. And there's a lot on the line as Kansas City works to defend its title this season. Let's discuss. Please welcome back to the broadcast, Cody Tapp and Alex Gold. You know them as Cody and Gold, airing weekdays on 610 Sports Radio. Thanks for coming back on, guys. Let's talk about the wide receiver position because, as the coach said, it's wide open.
Look, I think that he actually is going to keep 7.
Okay.
The real question really is about whether Kadarius Toney is healthy enough to make a difference there, or if they're just going to stick with this, we're going to throw a massive amount of numbers at it and hope somebody emerges part of it. But I don't think they want to let go of Justin Ross. He's the reason why they would keep 7. He ends up being that kind of linchpin of guys. Because when you draft 2 guys in the second round in Rashee Rice and Sky Moore, you trade for Toney, some of these guys are just going to be on the roster. There's no doubt about it.
That's a good point. We've wrapped up the preseason, right? Last game was yesterday. Kansas City's sitting pretty, right? ESPN has the Chiefs in first place in their post-draft rankings. Alex, are you feeling good right now? What should we be watching?
I think you have to feel good. When you got Patrick Mahomes coming off an MVP season, you still have Andy Reid, and you reap the benefits now of all those young players that got opportunities a year ago. The story was about 10 different rookies getting opportunities. Well, to me, as nice as that was in the postseason to have those guys step up like Jalen Watson and others, well, now they're a year more experience, a full offseason. So there's a chance this defense can actually be better than it was a year ago. And if that happens, think about that for Patrick Mahomes. He's never had a top-tier defense in his time as quarterback, and yet he's been able to win the Super Bowl twice. So all of a sudden, if the defense comes further along, I think they're in great shape.
I mean, when you really start looking at, defensively, yeah, but offensively, it's like, well, when they have Mahomes, I can never panic, right? The thing that should give you pause, or if you're like, what's going to really challenge the Chiefs and their ability to repeat as champions, which hasn't been done since the early 2000s with the Patriots, it is because the AFC is loaded. It's not just one team. It might be that 8 of the 10 best teams in the league are in the AFC. At the very least, 8 of the 10 best quarterbacks are in the AFC, which means you start getting into these loaded rosters and what are these playoff formats going to be, which means you don't really want, you have to avoid that slow start that's gotten the Chiefs a couple of times because playoff seeding in the end might matter. One less playoff game could be a big difference in a very crowded AFC.
For sure, and they stack the deck because of how good Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs have been these past few years. We talk about changes in coaching. Of course, Eric Bieniemy is out. Matt Nagy back in at OC. How's that going to play out, do you think, this season?
I wouldn't be overly worried. I mean, Matt Nagy was here before. He has a great relationship with Patrick Mahomes. But the only thing that I think could be the missing element is Bieniemy has been the face of several of their more creative play calls in the postseason in some of these bigger games. We start talking about Rose Bowl or all of these plays Bieniemy had a little bit of hand in that. Even the Sky Moore touchdown last year, that was something he had noticed on tape about the team that they were facing in Philadelphia. So those moments maybe I'll see. But outside of that, I mean, this is the Andy Reid show, right?
He's calling the plays. We all know that. And ultimately, any of the criticism that's going to take place, that would be maybe the one interesting thing to follow. Something Cody and I have talked about during training camp, actually, is will there be more criticism to Matt Nagy than there was for EB? Or are we going to find out that people were giving way too much criticism towards Eric Bieniemy at times throughout the seasons?
Yeah. Real quick, what are your expectations in the division this year?
Well, this is the Chiefs' division to lose still. I understand Justin Herbert, and they get Kellen Moore out there in L.A. now, which I think is a great addition. They can open things up more, but I don't trust Brandon Staley, the head coach of the Chargers, to make the right decisions throughout an entire 17-game season. So Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, yeah, the Chiefs will win 12-plus games again.
The Raiders stink. The Broncos are mediocre at best. The Chargers have maybe the most offensive talented roster in the division. but they have Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City. So always, I will assume that they will win the West once again this year.
And we will take that every day. All right, Cody Tapp, Alex Gold, 610 Sports Radio. Thanks, guys. We'll talk soon. Stay with KNBC 9 as we jump into the season. Kicks off September 7th. Of course, we'll be watching the roster moves as we follow the defending world champs every step of the way, on air and online at knbc.com.